Hi guys, Gavin again from Gsport, and this video here I'm going to give you a look at the newly acquired RX7 FD. So I purchased this car from Chris earlier on in the year during lockdown. Chris had brought the car in to me. He had some issues with the car. It's a very strange electrical issue. What would happen is the car would fire up perfectly fine. It would get up to temperature, and literally you could almost time it to when the thermostat opened, and as soon as that happened the engine note just instantly changed, and the car would cough and splutter and misfire and do silly things like that, and it wouldn't rev and so on and so forth. So very clearly an electrical issue. The problem being the car was still running the factory ECU. Now Chris did have an Apex Power FC there, but again in the Apexes there's basically zero diagnostics to speak of that you can do. It doesn't give you any real information. They're about as much use as a factory ECU in my opinion, so stay clear of those. And the factory ECU, albeit there are very limited onboard diagnostics and stuff like that, but this wasn't even throwing a fault code, so it was pointless even trying to search through diagnostics and that sort of thing on the factory ECU. So it was down to good old-fashioned, testing electrical things, and the big question is, where do you start and where do you stop, I suppose. So the end goal for Chris was that he just wanted to sell the car because I think he was buying a house and that sort of stuff. So ended up I did a bit of a deal with him on the car. Bought the car because I knew that I would be changing the engine management anyway, which is exactly what I've done. I'll take you a look around the car first anyway, and we'll talk through what the actual issue was. I have found out what the problem was, so I'll take you around the car here and we'll just see what it's doing. So yeah, it's an RX7 FD. It's a Jap import version, and it's the Fini version, which I believe is the equivalent to the UK Type R version, which is the lighter weight, and it now benefits from some additional drool from Charlie there. Thanks for that, Charlie. So yes, it's the lighter weight chassis. I think it comes in, Wikipedia tells me it comes in around 1200 and something kilos, and these things are known to handle really well. I've been told by a good few people now that they handle really well, and they do have a very good chassis on them, and they've good weight distribution, just mainly due to the fact that they have a little tiny rotary engine, and it's mounted right back at the back of the engine bay as well. So exterior wise, I say this is a project car, and you'll probably see some updates, and so I'll just go into little details and stuff of things that we're doing. So exterior wise, there was a body kit fitted. Well, the front bumper and the rear bumper and that little ducktail spoiler on the boot there, they're still on. The front bumper I don't mind, it's fine. There was a big set of side skirts on that which weren't to my taste. You can see if the markings there from where I've pulled them off. And the rear bumper again is not to my taste, and neither is the spoiler to my taste, albeit we do have a big race wing for it, which again is functional for form, so that'll be getting fitted. And the bonnet, which again isn't to my personal taste, but this is going to be a bit functional for form, this car. So what I'll probably do is remove this black cover on the underside of the bonnet and remove the shiny silver mesh as well, because those little rotary engines, they do generate a crazy amount of heat. So again, it's going to be functional over form, and that'll do. Eventually there'll be a flat floor and stuff going in underneath it, but look, that's going to be later on down the line. So engine wise, we've got a completely standard, internally standard 13B 2-rotor engine. It's running the factory twin turbos at the minute. Now they're not running sequentially anymore. These are sequential twin turbo from the factory, but this has been converted and it's now running true twin turbos, so they both spool at the same time. It does have, I think, is a HKS intercooler there, and I know that this pipework here, it's obviously not HKS, and these little blue silicone joiners aren't HKS. Of course there is HKS written here, and I assume the intercooler is HKS. It looks to be a decent job. It looks to be properly molded in tanks and all that sort of stuff. So what I'll probably do is I'll keep the intercooler and I'll redo the intercooler pipework, because there are about 1 million silicone joiners here and everywhere, and so I'll redo that just to get rid of a lot of the silicone joiners, change them from blue to black probably, and just little things like that, you know. The air filter, I've already taken it out. I just give it a quick sandblast in the sandblaster there, and give it a lick of paint and that sort of thing, just to tidy it up quickly. Again, I'll change that later on when we go for a nice big shiny new turbo at some point. So I'll go around the back and we'll see if anybody knows, or if anybody has or knows anybody that has a standard RX7 rear bumper and or rear lights, then just let me know, because I'll probably take those. Again, this isn't to my personal taste, that rear bumper, and this ducktail spoiler stick-on jobby wouldn't be to my personal taste either. So if I can't source replacements for these at reasonable money, what I'll probably do is paint this rear spoiler black, just to take the look from it, and I'll probably chop a big section out of the rear bumper and put a diffuser in there instead, so it'll be more function over form. And again, the big wing there, we have the mounting points for the race wing there, which again is functional. It's not a styling thing, it's going to be functional. Interior wise, we are I did have a torch somewhere, I don't know where I've put it. You can see in the back, there's already a half roll cage in the back there, which is handy. We have standard seats, albeit there's harnesses fitted in there for the driver's seat. Chris did do a hill climb event in this, I think, which probably explains some of the racy parts in it. This battery here is something I'm fiddling with at the minute. There is a battery box there that was fitted. I've removed it temporarily, just because I wasn't happy with the way the cable was going through the battery. I didn't want the thing to go on fire and so on. So this will all be reinstalled. I'm waiting on new battery terminals coming. It'll all be reinstalled properly. Again, I temporarily put a relay and a fuse in there just to power the pump. So that'll all be properly installed, nice little fuse box and so on. And the pump in there, I have just fitted a Walbro 450 litre per hour pump, so that should be the fueling side sorted for the minute anyway. I do have a couple of 2200cc injectors to go in there, but I need to get a fuel rail and so on, and they're not really needed with the factory turbos anyway, so they'll be fitted in at some stage later on down the line. Interior wise, so we have nice deep dish steering wheel here. This is a good solid wheel. I don't see a brand name on it anywhere, but it is a good sturdy wheel. A lot of these sort of cheap kind of eBay type wheels you can get, they're very thin. I've seen a lot of them flex back and forward really badly and break off and so on. This seems to be a very good one, so I'm happy with that. We have bush gauge there, which seems to be, I don't think this is factory, it may well be, but I don't think it is. This little cowling here that it's in, no, it seems to be aftermarket this, but it's a nice little addition there just for a bush gauge. Again, at some point we will run an aftermarket dash and so on. It's relatively standard inside. Yeah, it'll do just fine. Standard front seats. This is the model that has the rear seats in it as well. Not that anybody's going to be in there at all. They may as well not be there. I'll take you around and show you. We also have, again, it came in, it was running, so I'll just grab this torch here. It was running factory ECU and so on when it came in. It's now running the Adaptronic M6000. In my opinion, these are one of the best ECUs for a rotary engine. Andy Watt, who's a pretty smart guy, and he's done a lot of work, him and his team, on developing these to work with rotaries. Andy runs a rotary in his own MX5, so they know what they're talking about and have some nice features. Just one being controlling the metering oil pump, which turns out to be, that was the problem in the end. So I'll just show you this. This is the old The old metering oil pump that was in the car, and this was the cause of the issues. So it took me to install the adaptronic, and one of the first things that you do is to get control of this metering oil pump, or oil metering pump, depending on what year of RX7 you want to talk about. This was, if you don't get control of this, then basically you have no lubrication for your engine, so you'd be starting it up and it would be running dry, and it would last, you know, a matter of minutes before it would just seize or something. So the first thing you do before you can start the engine is to get control of this. Now, this is the stepper motor here, and the two middle wires here are 12 volt input, so they feed the coils with power, and then you have two wires on one side and two wires on the other side, so that's coil A. I can't remember the exact orientation, but you'll have say A and B, and then you'll have A closed and B closed. Sorry, that'll be A and B open and A and B closed, that sort of thing. So turns out one of these, I think it was the A closed or something. Anyway, one of the coils was burnt out or damaged, and when I tried to get control, the stepper motor kept jumping about and ticking and doing silly things. And so I tested it with the multimeter with the help of one of Andy Wyatt's videos on the Adaptronic website, and I was able to find the fault for that. And so I bought a replacement pump, and it's fitted and it's all sorted, and we've got proper control. The other thing as well you have is this, which is a little servo, or sorry, not servo, sensor, which is basically a 0 to 5 volt sensor, similar to a TPS, and it just tells you what position, you know, between open and closed that the MOP is in. It's a mechanically driven pump, so it's driven off this little shaft here, which is obviously posted directly to the engine. Oil fed in through here, but it's electronically controlled, and this little sensor gives you feedback for the ECU to tell you what position it's in, so you know how much oil you're injecting into the engine at any one time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The wheels on it there are Vogue Racing wheels. We've got, I think it was Nankang NS2Rs on the back, and sort of Maxxis, I can't even remember what they are, but they're like a semi-race tire, sort of slick tire, something like that in the front as well. Decent setup. Again, wheels wouldn't be exactly to my taste, but they're nice enough wheels, and a good quality wheel. So we'll run with this setup and see how it goes. I can't really think of anything else just at this stage. The plans are to sort out it is up and running on the factory, or sorry, not the factory ECU, it is up and running on the Adaptronic ECU currently. I need to connect up the battery again there just temporarily to get it fired up, so I'll maybe do that. And these things are pretty loud. I've also put, Chris supplied me with a mid pipe for the exhaust. That was the old catalytic converter over here that I just removed, so if it wasn't loud enough before, it's certainly loud enough now, and it has a full system there. So yeah, these things are pretty loud anyway, so I'll maybe get that, I'll get the battery connected up, and I'll get it fired up, and it'll be going on the dyno soon for a modest tune. I'm waiting on a couple of sensors coming, namely EGT sensor, before I can throw any serious amount of boost at this thing and see what it does. But we should hopefully be up in the 350 to 400 horsepower range on the current setup, and we'll see what it does, and we'll take it from there. See what other mods we want to do. The other thing as well, just to point out, is this Adaptronic ECU here. Some of you may noticed. It's connected using this conversion harness that I've built, which plugs into the factory engine harness. Now, the only reason I did that, it's a temporary solution. That wasn't even really a solution. I did that purely for diagnostic purposes, because I wanted to find out what the problem was with the car beforehand, and I suspected that it was a wiring fault, because again, these engines notoriously generate a huge amount of heat, and the factory wiring harnesses on them, after 20 to 30 years, they just go crispy basically and crumble. Connectors crumble, sheathing crumbles, wires just go hard and brittle, and they're notorious for having wiring issues. So I figured it was going to be a wiring issue, which is why I wanted to plug into the factory wiring so I could then diagnose the issue. Not that I had to, just because I wanted to and just because I could. So it turns out actually the harness is okay, albeit it is needing replaced. So this adapter harness will eventually be changed for a full sort of custom made engine harness, which I'll build in house as well. And of course we'll be doing some video footage on that as well. But yeah, look, as I say, thanks for watching. I'll get the thing fired up here and you can see just, just how noisy these things are. And then hopefully we'll see some dyno footage soon. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you soon.